Alright, so in our last video we described how it's possible to use matrices to determine the next year's state based on the current year's state. And now we want to generalize that a little bit so that we can more easily describe what's going to happen in the long run. Part of the challenge in doing it this way is that in order to get, say, what happens at time 2, you have to repeatedly multiply by a. But what we're noticing is that as long as we know the initial state, multiplying by a is really just a question of how many states in the future do we want to move. So if we start at time 0, right now our model only allows for this. So here we are, we're at time 0, and in order to get to, say, time 5, right now the way we need to do this is we need to travel from one time unit to the next. So we get from time 0 to time 1. And the way we do that is we take our initial state vector, we multiply it by our transition matrix, that gives us the 2179. Now to get to time 2, so this is, I'll say, multiplication by a. To get to time 2, and this is, by the way, our initial vector that needs to get multiplied by that. This contains our R0 and our U0, which are the initial populations for the rural and urban populations, respectively. To get to time 2, we need to multiply by a second time. And we notice that basically to multiply by a twice, we could just write that as a squared. And you're probably getting the idea here that to get to time 3, we're going to multiply by a again. And so that would be the same thing as just multiplying by a one more time, and that would show us that that's the same thing as taking a cubed. Time 4, multiply by a again. Time 5, multiply by a again. So we should be able to say that to get to x5, we could repeatedly multiply by a, generate the output vector. So here we're going to get the x1 states. We're going to take the x1 states, multiply them by a. Those will give us the time 2 states, and so on. This will give us the time 3 states and the time 4 states. And finally, the one that we want, the time 5 state. So we should be able to see here that x5 is which is going to contain r5 and u5, is going to be a matter of taking our A matrix, raising it to the 5th power, and multiplying it by our initial state. And this is super convenient because we just need to know the initial state, and by using this recursive principle, we can get ourselves to any state we want just simply by typing a to the 5th in our calculator. So remember, what's inside of a is the 0.85, 0.05, 0.15, 0.95 values. That's going to be raised to the 5th, which is not the same thing as raising each of these components to the 5th. It means multiplying the matrix by itself with a total of 5 factors. And this is going to be our R0, U0 state. And remember, that's going to be 20 and 80 for us in this problem. So to make this very general, to get the state at time t some point in the future, to get that, well, t is the value of time that we're after. So that's going to be somewhere down the line over here. We're going to have x sub t. It could be x sub 3 or x sub 4. We're not saying it has to be after time 5. But in general, to determine the number of people at time t, we're going to take a, you guessed it, to the t power. This is not the transpose operator, by the way. This is little t, not capital T. So this is actually a power here, multiplied by our initial state. Okay, so there's our process to getting ourselves directly from time 0 to time 5. We take our initial state, x0, we multiply it by a raised to the 5th power, and there we go. So to make this seemingly more general, we want now to be able to predict some occurrences in the future. So let's define something called a steady state. A steady state is said to occur if as t approaches infinity, in other words, as t gets progressively larger and larger, the system outputs approach a limit. Okay, so in other words, it's kind of like when you think of limits in calculus, do the values tend to some numbers, or do they deviate and diverge off to, say, infinity or negative infinity? So how could that possibly be in a situation where more people are moving from the rural into the urban? We actually did notice that those numbers were going up a little bit. Let's go ahead and take a look at a table now. So at time 0, the number of rural dwellers at that time was 20 and 80 in the urban setting. If we looked at time 5, well, how would we do time 5 again? That's going to be a to the 5th times our initial state, which was 2080. And to get this one, that's going to be a to the 10th times 2080. And you can see that it's nice because all we have to reference is our initial values. A to the 50th times 2080. Well, that's now easy to do because our calculator can compute that for us. And as time increases, now this is not infinity, but time is getting pretty large. This is 1,000 years later. We see that we started off with 20. Initially, that jump was pretty big from time 0 to time 5. But look at this, from time 5 to time 10, it was about 1.1 more rural dwellers. And then only 0.49999 more urban rural dwellers. And then by the time we get to time 100, the 0.99999s repeat so far that it's essentially 25. And we see that the 80 slowly decreases down to 75. And again, notice that these sum to 100 people. That's what we started off with. So in the long run, it looks like we get 25% of our 100% population living in the rural setting and 75% of our urban population, of our overall population living in the urban setting. So to summarize this, we could say it appears that as t approaches infinity, the populations will stabilize to 25 people in rural and 75 people in urban. People are still moving between the two states. So if we go back to our state transition diagram, every time a year passes, 15% of the rural people become urban and 5% of the urban become rural. So we should be able to say that this is true, but the number entering each state, so people are still moving between the two states, but the number entering each state is equal to the number exiting, which is why we do not see the figures change. So there's still movement happening. Let me go back to one of our previous slides here. There's still transitions happening. So this is, imagine this being like a firing. Once a year, 15% of this number comes here, 5% of this number goes over here, and then 85% of the 20 stay and 95% of the 80 stay. And then one more year later, that transition takes place again. But there's a certain magic sweet spot when we take 15% of 25 and we take 5% of 75, the number entering is the same as the number leaving, and therefore we get stability. So this may seem counterintuitive, but remember, these are percentages. And so percentages of larger numbers, even if those percentages are small, can actually still be large quantities. On the contrary, small percentages of really large numbers, large percentages of really small numbers can still be fairly large as well. So having said that, let's start to think about what the geometry tells us here. Okay, so there's our conclusion. What should we be visualizing? We've been talking a lot about visualizing matrix manipulations, and this is no different. So we're going to go ahead and hop over to an applet created in GeoGebra, and you're welcome to check this out and play with it. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so here we have it. Here's our little applet, and what we have on this left half of the graph is we can set our initial rural population, which we know is initially 20. Okay, so what that generates is an initial state vector, which is our 2080. So that's also the same as our current state because we haven't moved in time at all. Over on the left, let's see if I can zoom out at all here. Maybe not. So what we have over here we are zooming out actually. Let's try to refresh this real quick. All right, so we see right over on this graph, this is the t-axis here. So think about this as the table we were looking at. At time 0, there are 20 people in the rural setting, 80 people in the urban setting. So these two dots are the components of our current state vector. So rural at time 0 is 20, urban at time 0 is 80. There's our state transition matrix, and now what we can do here is we can change the value of time. So let's do that. Let's just change it by 1 time unit. So here's what happened. Basically, one multiplication took place. We took the transition matrix times our initial state, gave us the current state of 2179. Well, we've been thinking about multiplication of vectors by matrices as some sort of rotation and scaling effect performed in geometric space. So you can imagine that we were originally at this point here, and now that vector moved over because it's been multiplied, boom, 1 time by the transition matrix. So we see the urban population dropped, the rural population grew. We can change it to time 2. There's time 2, 21.8, 78.2. And we can continue doing this. And one fascinating thing that you'll observe here is eventually, when you start to multiply by that transition matrix enough times, we see that the progression of dots, the distance between them is growing smaller and smaller. Over here, we see a similar effect. The difference from one year to the next in the urban population is getting smaller, and the difference in rural population from one year to the next is getting smaller. So what we notice is this vector starts to converge in on a point, and we see that that's pretty close to 2575. I've only gone 20 years here. That's as far as my slider can go. But that gives you the idea of what's happening in the long run. Now, one of the questions that we posed in the PowerPoint is what's going to happen if was 2080 the magic number? Let's say there were 100 people living in the urban setting initially. Change that to 100. Okay, this is just the progression of dots. Let me get rid of those. Okay, and let's see what happens now if I change the value of time. So you can see the 100, 0 vector is this vector here along the x-axis. There's the 100, 0 vector. Well, I'm not sure what that is. Let's try this again here. So now we can see that our full population is we have 100 rural individuals and 0 urban individuals, and let's see what happens over time. So the question is, does the initial state affect the long run outcome? All right, let's see. So after time 1, big change, big drop in the rural population down to 85, the urban population jumped to 15. That is because we're taking into the urban setting 15% of the initial rural dwellers, which was 100, 15 are moving into the urban. There's nobody in urban to begin with, so nobody can stay there. And of the rural, 15% leave and 85% stay, so that figure should make sense. Let's see what happens as we progressively continue repeatedly multiplying by the A matrix. So this is every time we multiply by A, we get another rotation and scale effect. And again, notice those dots are getting closer and closer together. And in the time population versus time graph, we see that the urban dwellers are once again getting closer to 75, and the rural dwellers again getting closer to 25. So the initial state does not affect the long run outcome. What does affect the long run outcome is the transition matrix. So there's an underlying feature inside of this matrix that dictates the long run behavior. We'll take a look at another example in a separate video. This basically generalizes our approach to understanding dynamical systems, and determining long-run behavior at this moment is just based on taking the A matrix and raising it to a large enough power so that you go, say, 50 or 100 years into the future. In this case, this one only goes up to 20, but again, we can see that those ratios are going to be about 1 to 3. So that's it for this video, and we'll see you in the next one.